Hey man, if there's one truth that separates strong men from broken ones, it's this: the more you try to please a woman, the less she wants you. And I know that sounds brutal. It sounds unfair. You might be thinking, isn't that what we're taught? Be good to her, be available, be thoughtful, make her happy. But here's the twist that no one told you. Trying to please a woman is the biggest turnoff you can ever trigger in her feminine brain. Not because she wants to be mistreated, but because once you start bending your identity to win her approval, you've already lost something more important than her yourself, and she can feel it. The downfall of a man doesn't usually happen all at once. It starts small. It starts when he texts her back faster than he should, when he cancels his plans to see her, when he starts asking her, "What do you want me to be?" instead of standing in who he already is. It starts when he starts worrying more about her feelings than his own values. You think you're building connection, but what you're really building is dependence. You're placing her comfort above your truth. And once she senses that, her attraction begins to die, not because you're not enough, but because now you're trying to be too much. And nothing repels feminine desire faster than a man trying to perform instead of embodying. Here's what most men don't realize. The second you start trying to please her, you put her in the masculine role. You make her the one who has to lead. Now, she's setting the tone, making the decisions, holding the frame, and she resents it. Even if she doesn't know why, even if she says you're sweet or such a good guy, her body is no longer pulled towards you, she's repelled. Because she can't relax into her feminine, when you've dropped your masculine, she's now emotionally managing the relationship. And women don't crave what they have to manage, they crave what they can surrender to. That's not found in a man who pleases, that's found in a man who leads. There's a dark irony here. Most men who try to please are doing it from a good place. They're kind, they care, they want to make it work. They want her to feel loved. But the problem isn't their heart, it's their need. The need to be accepted, the need to be validated, the need to feel worthy through her affection. And that energy, that needy, performative, approval-seeking energy, it's suffocating to her because it says, "I'm not enough on my own. I need you to choose me before I can choose myself." And women don't desire men who make them their oxygen. They desire men who breathe freely, men whose approval she has to earn. Masculine energy is about direction, clarity, and groundedness. It's not about molding to fit her needs. It's about standing so firmly in your values, in your mission, in your standards, that she either aligns with it or she doesn't. That clarity is attractive. That strength makes her feel safe. That sense of self, that's what creates emotional polarity. But the moment you start asking, "Is this okay? Do you still love me? What should I do?" you've lost your edge. You've placed your masculine power in her hands. And even if she stays, she won't want to stay, because she didn't sign up to be your emotional compass. She signed up to be guided. You see it all the time. Men who start out strong, confident, magnetic, and then they fall in love and start morphing. They change their style, drop their friends, pick up her hobbies, become who she wants instead of who they are. And at first she's flattered. She thinks, "Wow, he really cares." But deep down, something shifts. She doesn't feel that gravity anymore, that grounded presence, that man who made her stomach turn with just a glance. He's now asking for permission. She may not even understand why she's losing interest, but she is. Because the version of you she was attracted to no longer exists. You became someone else, and no woman falls in love with a man who can't hold himself. You don't win her love by sacrificing your soul. You don't deepen her desire by putting her on a pedestal. You don't make her stay by giving her everything she asks for. That's not love, that's servitude. And women aren't drawn to servants, they're drawn to sovereigns, men who walk like kings, not boys begging to be chosen. If she disrespects you, you walk. If she pulls away, you give space. If she tests you, you stay calm. That's what builds desire. Not the man who says, "Please, what can I do better?" but the man who says, "Here's who I am. You're welcome to join, but I'm not bending to keep you." Trying to please a woman is the fastest way to make her feel like your mother. And no woman wants to be your mother. She doesn't want to raise you, shape you, teach you how to be a man. She wants to be with a man who already knows. And when you place your emotional stability in her hands, when you make her responsible for your worth, you become a burden, not a partner. She might stay for a while out of guilt or convenience, but she won't crave you. She won't respect you. And once respect is gone, love follows. That's the tragedy of the pleaser. He gives everything and still gets left wondering why it wasn't enough. You can't negotiate attraction. You can't explain your way back into desire. Women don't respond to words, they respond to energy. And the energy of a man who tries to please is weak. It's soft. It's unstable. Even if it's polite, even if it's well-intentioned, it feels off. It feels like a transaction. And real attraction is never transactional. It's primal. It's emotional. It's subconscious. So stop trying to logic your way into her heart. Stop asking, what can I do to make her stay? And start asking, where did I stop leading? That's where the shift happens. That's when you stop chasing and start choosing. A woman doesn't want a man who obeys. She wants a man she can trust. And you can't trust someone who changes based on your mood. You can't trust someone who agrees just to keep the peace. You can't trust someone who sacrifices their truth for comfort. That man isn't reliable, he's fragile. And fragility kills safety. The most seductive, magnetic, high-value men are the ones who tell a woman no without flinching, who hold the line, who walk away when their standards are disrespected, not because they don't care, but because they care about themselves too much to be molded by someone else's expectations. Don't mistake effort for attraction. Yes, effort matters, but not at the expense of self-respect. You should never try harder than she does. You should never be the only one initiating, planning, pursuing. Because when you're the only one putting in effort, it doesn't build love, it builds resentment. You start to feel unappreciated, and she starts to feel smothered. And what happens then? She pulls away. And you chase harder, and the harder you chase, the faster she runs. Because now you're not the man she admired, you're the man begging to be seen. And that's not seduction, that's desperation. And desperation is repulsive. There's a reason the nice guy always finishes last. It's not because kindness is bad, it's because the intention behind that kindness is usually weakness. He's not kind because he's powerful, he's kind because he's afraid. Afraid of rejection. Afraid of being alone, afraid of losing access to her body, her affection, her attention. So he gives, he adjusts, he apologizes for things he didn't do, and she senses it, the lack of backbone, the hollow energy beneath the compliments. And even though he thinks he's doing everything right, she slowly pulls away because he wasn't offering love, he was offering compliance. And no woman craves a man who lives on his knees. There's a huge difference between pleasing a woman and loving her. One is rooted in fear, the fear of not being enough, of being abandoned, of not being chosen. The other is rooted in strength, the kind that says, I love you, but I don't need you to complete me. Women feel that difference in their bones. The man who loves with strength doesn't need to overdo it. He's not trying to impress. He's not walking on eggshells. He's living in his truth. And she either rises to meet it or falls away from it. But the pleaser, he's trying to buy love. He's trying to trade effort for affection. And that trade never works. Because the moment she senses that your kindness comes from insecurity, not certainty, she will slowly and sometimes violently detach. You are not designed to be her emotional sponge. You are not here to soak up her chaos and mold your world around her moods. The minute you take on the role of the emotional pleaser, you lose your ability to lead. Now she's in charge, now you're reacting, and the polarity flips. She might appreciate it at first. She might say thank you, or you're so understanding. But what she won't say is how she's slowly starting to see you as soft, as weak, as expendable. Not because you're not a good man, but because you gave her control. And when she's in control, she loses the ability to feel that deep magnetic pull that only masculine energy can create. Don't get it twisted. Being a man doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean being distant or emotionally unavailable. It means being firm, resilient, clear. A man who pleases is a man who has given up his clarity. He says yes when he means no. He hides what he truly wants just to avoid rocking the boat. He turns himself into what he thinks she wants, instead of standing in what he actually is. And over time, this eats away at his soul. He starts to lose passion, purpose, because you cannot live fully if your entire identity is designed to please someone else. And once you lose yourself, even if she stays, you will no longer be the man she respected. A woman's biggest test is not how you treat her when things are good, it's how you hold your frame when things are uncertain. If she pulls away, do you beg? If she disrespects you, do you stay? If she withholds love, do you try harder? That's the real test. Because she's not just testing your feelings, she's testing your core. She wants to see if you'll abandon yourself to keep her, and when you do, she doesn't celebrate, she doesn't feel loved, she feels disgusted. Because deep down, every woman knows that a man who folds for her will fold under pressure, and no woman wants to build a life with a man who can't stand on his own feet. Pleasing a woman often comes from a lie you were told, that women are fragile, that you need to walk carefully around their emotions, that their love is conditional on how soft and agreeable you are. But here's the reality, women are not fragile, they're powerful, and they don't want another emotional mirror, they want balance, polarity, fire. If your entire identity is, I'll do anything to make you happy, then you've already made her unhappy. Not because she's ungrateful, but because you've robbed her of the very thing she was attracted to in the first place, your strength. You don't owe her comfort, you owe her authenticity. And that, ironically, is what creates actual peace. Look at the men women obsess over. It's not the nicest guy, it's not the one who compliments her 12 times a day or floods her DMs with validation. It's the man who gives her less, but every drop he does give has weight, intensity, direction. He's not performing, he's not reactive, he's not molding, he's standing, grounded, unapologetic. And that presence, that masculine essence, it does something to her. It hits her in her nervous system. It pulls her out of her overthinking and into her body. And the man who tries to please will never compete with that, because she doesn't want emotional labor, she wants emotional power. You'll know a man is trying to please when he apologizes for speaking truth, when he says things like, I didn't mean it like that every time she gets triggered, when he holds back opinions, decisions, boundaries, all to maintain peace. But here's the trap. There is no peace without polarity. If she never bumps up against your edges, she never feels your strength. And if she never feels your strength, she never opens fully. Pleasing is a war on your masculine essence. It's disguised as kindness, but it's actually fear. Fear of rejection, fear of not being seen, fear of losing her. But here's the truth. If pleasing is what keeps her around, then what you have isn't love. It's a performance. You don't build attraction by being the best guy. You build it by being the realest man, the one who speaks with intention, who walks with purpose, who knows when to give and when to hold back, the one who lets her cry without trying to fix it, who lets her storm without matching her chaos, who doesn't try to make her feel better just to avoid conflict, but holds the container so she can come back to herself. That man, he's rare, he's magnetic, he's irresistible. Not because he's trying to be, but because he's done trying. And in that detachment, in that quiet, unwavering presence, she feels something she can't explain. That's seduction, that's leadership, that's power. Here's the brutal part. Most men won't accept. Pleasing comes from weakness. You may call it love, she may even call it sweet, but both of you feel the imbalance. Because when a man gives more than he means, when he sacrifices truth for harmony, when he overcompensates to win her over, it creates resentment, not just in her, but in him. Deep down, the pleaser knows he's not being honest, and that dishonesty builds until it explodes, in bitterness, in burnout, in desperation. So stop trying to please, start practicing truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it costs you the moment. Because the long-term cost of not being real is far greater than the short-term discomfort of setting a boundary. A woman can feel when you're leading from wholeness versus when you're grasping from emptiness. The man who pleases is always reaching. Is this enough? Did I say it right? Are you still happy with me? And every time he reaches, she steps back. Not because she's cruel, but because her biology is begging her to find a man who isn't looking for her approval, but the man who leads. He's not looking for reassurance, he's embodying direction. He's giving from overflow, and when he gives, she receives fully, because she doesn't feel the weight of performance behind it. She feels freedom, and that freedom, that's when love actually begins. You want her to admire you, respect you, desire you, then stop being afraid of her disapproval. You were not built to live in fear of her changing moods. You were built to lead through them. Not to fight her, but to stay firm within yourself while she storms. And when she sees that you don't fold, that you don't flinch, that you don't please, to be loved, she begins to feel something most women have never felt: a man she can trust with her chaos. A man who won't lose himself in her emotions. A man who can stand in the fire with her and not get burned. And that, brother, that is rare. The men who win in the long run are not the ones who pleased their way into her life. They're the ones who had the strength to walk away when their standards were violated. The ones who didn't chase when she pulled away. The ones who said no without flinching. The ones who loved fiercely but never begged. And that strength leaves an imprint. Even if she leaves, even if she chooses someone else for a while, your presence lingers. Because she didn't just date a man, she encountered a standard. And once a woman has tasted that level of grounded masculinity, everything else feels lesser. So here's the truth: never try to please a woman, not because she doesn't deserve love, but because she deserves your truth. And truth doesn't bend to please. It stands, it leads, it chooses. You were not born to chase affection. You were born to channel power. The moment you stop performing, stop begging, stop overgiving, you become magnetic. She may not say it out loud, she may even resist it at first, but deep down, every woman craves a man who cannot be swayed by her emotions. A man who loves deeply, but never at the cost of himself. Be that man, and let the world and every woman in it rise or fall based on whether they can handle that kind of strength.